So, be reading a little bit more from the Chaitanya Shikshamrta, Bhaktivinode Thakur. And his writings are so incredible. Very, very scholarly. Everything presented so nicely, in great detail, and with great devotion. So this is Chapter 3, Part 3, and it's entitled Avoiding Obstacles in Devotional Service. Ma Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Tinamane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharane Nirvisesa Sunyavadi Paskitade Satarne Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Avoiding obstacles in devotional service. The practitioner of Vaidhi Bhakti must perform all the 5 types of cultivation explained in the previous section. In performing these activities, there are certain forbidden actions which create obstacles for his progress. These must be avoided. There are 10 types of forbidden activity: association with materialists, solicitation, attempting huge projects, spending time studying different works and various philosophies, meanness, subjection to lamentation, disrespect to devatas, giving trouble to other living entities, seva and nama aparad, and tolerating criticism of the Lord and his devotee. Materialists are of 6 types. People devoid of faith in the Lord without moral standards. People with morals but no faith in God. People with morals and faith in God but whose concept of God is subservient to morality. Pretenders, impersonalists, and polytheists. Those who have no respect for God or morality engage in sinful activities. Without moral conduct, they simply do whatever they wish. Such people, for sense pleasure and personal gain, create havoc in the world. Those who accept morality but do not accept God argue that moral conduct should be followed out of duty without fear of God. They forget that faith in God is a significant element in moral conduct. It will be seen, however, that if there is no respect for God, the moral codes cannot be followed properly. Will not such people sacrifice moral conduct for their own benefit if an opportunity arises? By examining their character, one can discover the impractical nature of their philosophy. Where self-interest arises, the moral codes will be violated. The third level of people have belief in God, but that belief is subservient to their morality. There are 2 types. One type maintains that worship of God is important, but do not believe in his actual existence. They believe there's no harm in imagining a God and worshiping him with faith, and then abandoning worship when good conduct is achieved. The second type believe that by performing activities of worship of the Lord, such as Sandhya, Vandana, the heart will become purified and Brahman realization will be achieved. At that point, There are no more duties to anyone. This relationship with God is like a temporary meeting of travelers at an inn. Both these types are averse to devotion. The fourth type, also adverse to devotion, is the pretender. They may be classified as cheaters and cheated, though they do not accept the external nature of bhakti, although they do not accept the eternal nature of bhakti. They wear the dress and markings of a believer. They have their own motives, which any honest person would decry. Cheating everyone, they pave the way for a world of sin. Undiscerning people, allured by their external appearance, take up the same path and end up rejecting God. They have beautiful tilak and dress, chant the name of Krishna, appear detached from the world, and give attractive speeches. But secretly, they harbor desire for wealth and women. Many such groups are visible. The fifth type is the impersonalist. According to these people, when the heart becomes purified by bhakti, the truth will be revealed. The highest truth is liberation, destruction of the soul. As the distinction of soul is destroyed, everything becomes one undifferentiated state. Bhakti and God are temporary. Acting as a servant of the Lord is only a practice, not the goal. If the devotee does not avoid them, his faith in the ontology of bhakti will become weak. Those who accept many gods have no dedication to one. By association with such people, the devotee will also lose his faith in bhakti. The devotee must avoid the association of these 6 types of people. Association does not refer to being present in the same meeting, riding in the same boat, bathing at the same place in the river, or buying goods in the same store. Association means dealing with them in an intimate mood. That type of association has to be avoided. Unhealthy relationship is also forbidden for the Vaidhi Bhakta. There are 4 types of unhealthy relations: with disciples, with associates, with servants, and with friends. By taking unqualified people as disciples for wealth and power, great disturbance is created in the sampradaya. The Vaishnava will not initiate disciples if there are no qualified persons. By taking association of those who are not devotees, many types of sinful habits will appear. Therefore, such association should be given up. It's not beneficial to take servants unless they're devotees. In making friendship as well, the devotees should first consider if the person is a Vaishnava. The devotee should give up enthusiasm for big endeavors in 3 situations. If the person has no funds in the beginning, he should not attempt the work. If his life is nearly finished, he should not start a big project. If the work requires a lot of manpower and he has no way of getting assistance, he should not attempt the work. Such things create an obstacle in devotion. If huge projects for temple, hall, or ashram are difficult to execute, should not be considered. The devotee should learn the scriptures concerning devotion and those works which conform to the conclusions, but for lack of time, to read small parts of large works and then leave them should not be done. The devotee should read a work thoroughly, otherwise he will become uselessly opinionated and a professional debater. There are some people who take pleasure in arguing with any statement they hear, whether good or bad. It's forbidden for the devotee. The devotee should not be controlled by lamentation and other emotions, by bad habits, by intoxications, or by superstition. There are thousands of circumstances for feeling lamentation, grief, anger, fear, greed, and illusion. The devotee does not become affected when such circumstances arise. They weaken the mind and obstruct the cultivation of bhakti. The devotee should always beware. Bad habits such as sleeping during the day, sleeping during the morning, chewing betel, untimely eating and drinking, untimely cleaning the body, sleeping on a luxurious bed, eating luxurious items, eventually become a disturbance to devotion. Taking only what is necessary to maintain life, the devotee should not become habituated to unnecessary items. Taking intoxicants gives rise to many faults, for by becoming addicted to them, devotion gets contaminated. Alcohol, marijuana, opium, and even tobacco must be avoided by the Vaishnava. They're prohibited in the Vaishnava scriptures. Just by smoking, a person becomes so much addicted, he takes to sinful company to enjoy the habit. To be controlled by superstition causes many problems. From superstition arises prejudice. With prejudice, there is no respect for truth. Wearing the signs of the Vaishnava is one of the methods of cultivating devotion involving the body. But to think that that is the distinguishing characteristic of a Vaishnava is a superstition arising from sampradaya prejudice. Controlled by such false beliefs, a person may not respect a real Vaishnava who's not wearing those marks. If a devotee cannot find good association within his own organization, he will not venture to find a good association elsewhere if he has such prejudice. As without good association no thing can be accomplished, the devotee falls into a dangerous position. Those who are bound to the varnashram system by prejudice also fail to develop a taste for the higher level of bhakti. Sometimes hatred, which degrades a person even more, may also appear. The devotee should not disrespect the devatas. There are two types of devatas: incarnations of the Lord and jivas with special qualification. None of the Lord's servants should be disrespected. Those souls who, by the mercy of the Lord, have attained positions to control and protect the world are considered to be devata and are to be worshipped by all. The Vaishnava should not, out of envy, disrespect them. Giving them proper respect, the Vaishnava may pray to them for the boon of devotion to Krishna. The Vaishnava should not disrespect any living entity. Respect should be given to all the forms of the devatas which are being worshipped in various places, for by worshipping those forms, the people on a lower level of consciousness learn the preliminaries to devotional service. By disrespecting them, the devotee's pride will grow and humility will decrease. In this way, the heart will no longer be a suitable dwelling place for devotion. The devotee should not disturb other living entities. One type of disturbance is to kill other living beings for food. Talking about others' misdeeds, criticizing others, quarreling, scolding, bearing false witness, taking advantage at others' expense, violence, theft, spending others' money, beating others, lusting after others' wives. These are all actions to disturb others. The devotee avoids these. When a person takes shelter of bhakti, mercy towards all living entities is a natural quality. Compassion does not have separate existence from bhakti. The quality which, when offered to the Lord, is called bhakti or prema, becomes friendship, compassion, and indifference when directed toward other living beings. It is a feeling which is inherent in the eternal nature of the soul. In the spiritual realm, this quality manifests only as friendship, but in the material world it manifests as friendship towards devotees, mercy towards the innocent, and indifference towards the offenders. These are but different aspects of the same compassion. In the conditioned state, this compassion is extremely stunted. It starts with one's own body, then widens to include one's household, then one's varna, then one's countrymen. Expanding it includes the human beings of the whole world. Compassion becomes complete when it is directed towards all living entities. Patriotism is but an aspect of this sentiment in relation to one's country. Philanthropy or compassion directed towards all humanity. The Vaishnava should not be limited by these sentiments. He is compassion for all living entities, not wanting to cause harm to any of them. The Vaishnava should always be careful to avoid seva and nama aparads. The seva aparads are of 5 types according to the Varaha and Padma Puranas. Negligence in spite of ability, disrespect, impurity, lack of determination, and pride. All the different offenses mentioned in the scriptures that can be committed against the form of the Lord in the temple fall within these 5 types. It is difficult to list all the offenses, but those mentioned in the Varaha and Padma Purana are to be briefly described. The Vaishnava should always be careful to avoid. Among the first type of offense are the following: not to hold regular festivals for the deity, though there is money to do so; to worship the Lord with inferior items, though ability is there to supply better; not to offer seasonal fruits to the Lord; to come before the Lord without offering obeisances, prayers, or verses of praise; to enter the Lord's temple without lighting any lamp. Disrespectful offenses are as follows: entering the deity room with shoes on in a vehicle; not paying respects to the deity; paying respects to the deity using one hand; pointing at the deity with a finger; circumambulating someone in front of the deity; spreading the feet before the deity; reciting prayers while sitting on a bed; sleeping or eating before the deity; speaking loudly before the deity; gossiping with someone in front of the deity; crying because of material affairs; quarreling; talking of others in front of the Lord; passing air before the Lord; giving part of an item to someone before offering it to the Lord; sitting with one's back to the deity; addressing or greeting others before the deity; seeing the deity at the wrong time. Offenses of impurity are as follows: going to the temple with an unclean body; to serve the deity with clothing made of animal hair; spitting while serving the deity; thinking of material things while serving the deity; offenses due to lack of determination are: to drink water before worshiping the Lord; to eat unoffered food or water; not daily seeing the Lord and his worship; not offering one's favorite items, foods, and fruit to the Lord; not observing Ekadashi vows. In serving the Lord, the devotee thinks of himself as the Lord's humble servant. Otherwise, the devotee will praise himself and think that he is the best worshipper, think oneself great, and offering many items with great pomp is also pride. In serving the Lord, these 5 types of offenses should be avoided. The installer of the deity, the pujari, and the general devotees must all avoid them. The nam-aparads are: to criticize devotees, to think that the devatas are independent of the Lord, to disrespect the Guru, to criticize the Vedas and other scriptures, to think the glorification of the name is exaggeration, to interpret the name, to commit sinful activity on the strength of the name, to think that the name is pious activities, to teach the name to faithless people, not to have attraction for the name in spite of hearing its glories. Even in the scriptures of moral dharma, criticizing others is a sin. But in considering the seriousness of the sin, the scriptures dealing with devotion, the essence of dharma, consider criticizing devotees to be the most serious offense. Those who commit this offense cannot advance in devotion without the association of devotees. By criticizing the devotee gradually, devotion will decrease in the heart day by day, like the waning of the moon. Though a person may be well established in varnashram dharma, without devotional association and with the committing of this offense, devotion will disappear from the heart. It is often seen that by this offense people situated in varnashram dharma gradually fall from their position and become atheistic moralists, and then finally become amoral, living like animals. Therefore, this offense must be avoided. To think that the devatas are independent of the Lord, that they all have equality, is polytheism. Such people are not devotees. Understanding the Lord is one is the correct understanding. Without this understanding, a person is ignorant, an offender. In chanting the Lord's name, the names of the devatas are included. The devotee should understand that the devatas are all servants of the Lord. Someone may object that Shiva is the Supreme and Vishnu is his avatar, that Vishnu's name is dependent on Shiva's name. Such arguments between different groups does not bear any good result. The real goal is to worship the Supreme Lord. To that end, it is necessary to stick to chanting the name of Vishnu or Krishna. The highest truth is without material qualities. All the devatas endowed with sattva, rajas, and tamas should be regarded as the servants of the Lord. But without being envious of them, the devotee should worship the Lord situated in pure sattva, beyond the modes of material nature. By giving up the path shown in the Vedas and other authorized scriptures and imagining other things, great disturbance will take place. Those scriptures which indicate worship of devatas like Shiva, Durga, Ganesh, Surya, and Indra think of that worship as a materialistic means, saguna, to attain the pure nirguna realization of impersonal Brahman. In the Vaishnava scriptures, the Lord is defined as the highest form endowed with eternity, knowledge, and bliss. The Vaishnava does not serve the Lord to attain impersonal Brahman. Therefore, it is improper to think that the imaginary form of devatas, being material and therefore temporary, Hare Krishna. Govinda. If a person then tries to argue that the devatas are eternal spiritual forms, the philosophies of both Advaita and Bhakti disappear. Therefore, the wise person maintains that the devatas are devotees of the Lord, or guna avatars, does not change the meaning of the scripture. Otherwise, there will be offense against the Lord, the eternal perfect form. Disrespect to the Guru is a serious offense. Without faith in the Guru, there can be no faith in his instructions. Without faith, there can be no devotional activities. Thus, a devotee must have unshakable faith in the Diksha and Shiksha Guru. Those who have a strong tendency to surpass the Guru commit this offense and cannot develop attachment to the Lord. The four Vedas, Rig, Sama, Yajur, and Atharva, the Puranas, Mahabharata, 24 Dharma Shastras, the Pancharatras, all glorify the chanting of the name of the Lord and devotional service. These are considered the real scriptures. By criticizing them, there can be no advancement in devotion. People who do not disrespect the scriptures and concoct a new form of worship become a burden on the world. Looking at the philosophies of Theosophy, Brahma Samaj, Buddhism, and Dattatreya, this becomes apparent. The essence is that there is one means to attain the end. This is seen everywhere, in different countries, different languages, and different customs. The practice may differ a little, but the essence is one. With an analytical eye, one will not see difference. The Vedic scriptures are eternal. The methods given there are also eternal. The methods given in the works following the authority of the Vedas are approved methods. If a person out of pride wants to invent a new process and offers some new philosophy, it can only be valued as manifestation of pride and imagination with no substance. It will act as an obstacle to development of that person's devotion. There are many pious activities which do not bear permanent results, but these results are glorified to encourage people with material propensity. By glorification of the result, people are encouraged to perform the pious activity. Many unfortunate people say that glorification of the holy name is similar to the empty glorification of pious activities. But the results of chanting the name are actual and eternal, and the scriptures cannot even enumerate the many results of chanting. There are many directives to worship the Lord, but the essence of the worship is chanting the name. Those who think that glories of chanting given in the scriptures are simply exaggerated phrases are offenders. To speculate whimsically about the meaning of the name is an offense. Hari means the personal form of Krishna, endowed with eternity, knowledge, and bliss. But a person who cannot understand that Krishna has a beautiful form will think that Hari indicates impersonal Brahman. For fear that Hari may indicate Krishna, some people add extra words to Hari, such as Nirakara. This is interpreting the name. Those who commit this offense become dry-hearted and gradually become devoid of rasa. If a person dares to commit sin thinking that the power of the name will nullify the reactions, he commits grave offense. Sin and attraction to material pleasure are extinguished along with the development of attraction for the Lord. When a person takes shelter of the name, naturally he will not have a taste for sinful activities. But if someone always chants the name and secretly commits sins, it is cheating of the worst type. Such a person, while committing sin, will think that by later chanting the name he will cancel the effect of the sin. The devotee should take shelter of the name, being freed from this offense. There are many pious activities such as sacrifices, austerities, yoga, study of the Vedas, following the rules of Varnashram Dharma, and serving guests. Those engrossed in materialism will think that the chanting of the name is on the same level as these pious activities. This is a great offense. There is a great difference between pious actions which yield temporary material results and the chanting of the name which brings eternal bliss. Those who are atheistic, extremely bound up to moral rules or duties of karma, cannot take up chanting the name unless they purify their hearts. To give such unqualified and faithless people the teachings of the name is as useless as sowing seeds on barren ground. Those who give out the name, motivated by receiving good donations or selling the name, they reduce the priceless jewel to nothing in exchange for insignificant things and fall from the path of devotion. A person is unfortunate if, even after hearing the glories of the name, his sense of possessiveness and attachment are so strong he does not develop an attachment for the name. He is in a hopeless position and is considered an offender. Being free from these 10 offenses, the devotee should practice his worship. The devotee should not consent to or assist in criticism of the Lord or his devotees. If he hears such words, he should, if possible, counter them. If he hears such words from his own guru, then he should humbly warn him. If the guru becomes a hater of Vaishnavas, he should reject him and take shelter of a real guru. Giving up the 10 detrimental activities, the Vaidhi Bhakta carefully tend to the development of his devotion through the 5 types of cultivation. Literature that is a useless waste of time, in other words, literature without spiritual benefit, should be rejected. One should not become a professional teacher as a mean of earning one's livelihood. Nor should one indulge in arguments and counter-arguments. Nor should one take shelter of any cause or faction. A sannyasi must not present allurements of material benefits to gather many disciples, nor should he unnecessarily read many books or give discourses as means of livelihood. He must never attempt to increase material opulence unnecessarily. A grihastha must associate again and again with saintly persons, and with great respect he must hear the nectar of the activities of the Supreme Lord in his incarnations, as these activities are described in Srimad Bhagavatam and other Puranas. Thus one should gradually become detached from affection for his wife and children, exactly like a man awakening from a dream. So these last few verses and the next following few verses are from the scriptures, mostly the Srimad Bhagavatam. My dear Lord, O infallible one, my position is like that of a person who has many lives, all trying to attract him in their own way. For example, the tongue is attracted to palatable dishes, the genitals to sex with an attractive woman. Hare Krishna. For example, the tongue is attracted to palatable dishes, the genitals to sex with attractive women, and the sense of touch to contact with soft things. The belly, although filled, still wants to eat more. In the ear, not attempting to hear about you, is generally attracted to cinema songs. The sense of smell is attracted to yet another side. The restless eyes are attracted to scenes of sense gratification, and the active senses are attracted elsewhere. In this way, I'm certainly embarrassed. How can one whose mind is afflicted by lamentation and other material disturbances ever see Mukunda? Those who are serious about liberation are certainly non-envious, and they respect all. Yet they reject the horrible and ghastly forms of the demigods and worship only the all-blissful forms of Lord Hari and his plenary portions. As pouring water on the root of a tree energizes the trunks, branches, twigs, and everything else, and as supplying food to the stomach enlivens the senses and limbs of the body, simply worshiping the Supreme Personality of Godhead through devotional service automatically satisfies the devotees who are parts of the Supreme Personality. Offering gifts in charity, accepting charitable gifts, revealing one's mind in confidence, inquiring confidentially, accepting prasad, offering prasad, are the 6 symptoms of love shared by one devotee and another. To carry on similar activities with a materialist is asat sangha. In this material world, the conditioned soul is always inclined to sex, meat eating, and intoxication. Therefore, religious scriptures never actually encourage such activities, although the scriptural injunctions provide for sex through sacred marriage, for meat eating through sacrificial offerings, and for intoxication through the acceptance of ritual cups of wine. Such ceremonies are meant for the ultimate purpose of renunciation. Those sinful persons who are ignorant of actual religious principles, yet consider themselves to be completely pious, without compunction commit violence against innocent animals who are fully trusting in them. In their next life, such sinful persons will be eaten by the same creatures they have killed in this world. The killer of the soul are never peaceful because they consider that human intelligence is ultimately meant for expanding material life. Thus, neglecting their real spiritual duties, they're always in distress. They're filled with great hopes and dreams, but unfortunately, these are always destroyed by the inevitable march of time. The transcendental personality of Godhead is indirectly associated with the 3 modes of material nature: passion, goodness, and ignorance. And just for the material world's creation, maintenance, and destruction, he accepts the 3 qualitative forms of Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva. Of these 3, all human beings can derive ultimate benefit from Vishnu, the form of the quality of goodness. Those who are serious about liberation are certainly non-envious, and they respect all. Yet they reject the horrible and ghastly forms of the demigods, and worship only the all-blissful forms of Lord Vishnu and his plenary portions. Those who are in the modes of passion and ignorance worship the forefathers and other living beings, and the demigods who are in charge of cosmic activities, for they are urged by a desire to be materially benefited with women, wealth, power, and progeny. If a human being is engaged in sinful, irreligious activities, either because of bad association or because of his failure to control the senses, then such a person will certainly develop a personality full of material desires. He thus becomes miserly toward others, greedy, and always anxious to exploit the bodies of women. When the mind is so polluted, one becomes violent and aggressive, and without the authority of Vedic injunction, slaughters innocent animals for sense gratification. Worshipping ghosts and spirits, the bewildered person falls fully into the grip of unauthorized activities and goes to hell, where he receives a material body infected by the darkest modes of ignorance. Therefore, my dear young friends, born of demons, please act in such a way that the Supreme Lord, who is beyond the conception of material knowledge, will be satisfied. Give up your demoniac nature and act without enmity or duality. Show mercy to all living entities by enlightening them in devotional service, thus becoming their well-wisher. One who commits all offenses can be relieved of effects by taking shelter of Hari. But if one commits offense to Hari, that's very serious. If, however, one takes shelter of the name, he can overcome the effects. But he who commits offense against the name, which is the friend of all, must fall down. Due to the mercy of the devotee, a person may suddenly attain a reflection of bhav. Due to offense against the devotee of the Lord, that reflection of bhav will gradually disappear, like the waning of the moon. Those who are devotees of other gods and who worship them with faith actually worship only me, O son of Kunti, but they do so in a wrong way. Steadiness in devotion arrives from either taste or respect for scriptural rules, but that arising from taste is rare. Therefore, one must rely upon respect for the rules in order to advance to steadiness. A person who makes a show of steadiness without having followed the rules is therefore a proud impostor. This does not, however, apply This does not, however, apply to the person who has advanced by taste. By executing without attachment the regulative activities prescribed in the Vedas, offering the results of such work to the Supreme Lord, one attains the perfection of freedom from the bondage of material work. The material fruit of results offered in the revealed scriptures are not the actual goal of Vedic knowledge, but are meant to stimulate the interest of the performer. One should reject a guru who has become arrogant, cannot distinguish right from wrong conduct, or who has been taken up in an incorrect philosophy. Anyone who hears such a guru teaching wrong principles and the guru who teaches such things both go to hell for unlimited time. Far from being worshipped, such a guru should be given up, especially if he becomes envious of Vaishnavas. One goes to hell with a mantra given by a non-Vaishnava. Far from being worshipped, such a guru should be given up, especially if he becomes envious of Vaishnavas. One goes to hell with a mantra given by a non-Vaishnav. Therefore, according to the rules, one should again accept a guru who is a Vaishnav. And that is the end of Chapter 3, Part 3.